The Institute, episode 8. And I feel like this is the season finale, or probably the series finale, because I don't see this getting picked up for a second season. I could be wrong, but I'm going to give you all my thoughts and feelings about this episode and my overall thoughts on this show when we get to the end. So definitely make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. I appreciate it. So we pick up right where we left off, you know what I'm saying? Tensions are brewing, everywhere. And I really wish that this is how episode 6 felt. Like, we finally get some type of urgency, or the powers that be finally decide to actually put their foot down or take some type of action, because Avery, he gets set up to do one of these like assassin jobs and stuff like that. But little do they know is he's going to use this opportunity to kind of connect to everybody that has some type of like psychic ability or some type of ability or power, whatever the fuck. They're going to connect to that. And they also connect to other institutes around wherever, the country or probably the world at this point. And shit is hitting the fan, you know what I'm saying? Julia is gone. She's speaking a little bit too much. She doesn't say everything, you know what I'm saying? But she's definitely in danger for the most part. On the other side of things, you have Stackhouse trying to work out a deal between Tim. He wants to get Luke back. He wants to make things right, but they obviously know that this is a trap. And this is where Stackhouse gets an interesting idea, a very sinister idea to, if anything goes wrong, we're just going to gas everybody that has escaped from back half and stuff like that. So they're willing to eliminate all those kids, even though they are powerful, even somebody like Avery. But he's hoping it doesn't really get to that. On the other side of things with Luke, he is deciding to go back to the place. And this is where I was starting to think, like, why didn't y'all just take a page out of Maureen's book and just start recording shit so you have backups? Because like a lot of this stuff that they were doing was very unnecessary and pointless at times. So then we finally get to the scene of Stackhouse and Tim kind of facing off of one another, and you're kind of waiting to see what one has under their sleeves. Like, they're both planning something, you don't know really what, and you're thinking that Stackhouse has the upper hand, but no. Before they even got there, Luke and Wendy switched clothing, and I don't know how they didn't see this shit fucking coming, and just never mind. It's just more of the inconsistencies within this show that it's just, you gotta turn your brain off. You gotta turn your brain off. Anyways, that leads to Wendy and Tim getting snatched up, pretty much held hostage at that point. What would be really cool is if they would have just, at that moment, once they got duped, that Stackhouse would be like, all right, you want to play with me? I'm gonna play, I'm gonna do this. Shoots Wendy in the head. Boom. And that would have made him a much better villain, because that's the one thing about this show, is the villains are so lackluster and forgettable. None of them are they're all goofy. They're all goofy as fuck. Now with Luke within the Institute, he's in back half. He's able to kind of get to them and make the connection stronger amongst everybody. And this is where this shit started to piss me off, because they're able to get the one door open because Stackhouse set it up to like shut all the power on the back half so they can't get out of that area. And they were going to, in case things that didn't work, that's when they used the gas and whatnot. So them using all this power and stuff like that is causing the building itself to kind of crumble, which is interesting. But what pisses me off at this moment is we do all this shit. We have Luke come back just for Avery to kind of stay back, because he says that, this is the only way to kind of keep the connection going and stuff like that. I don't know, man. It just didn't work for me. I was like, you made me come all the way down this way just to tell me, like, I'm not going I need to stick with them, or at least let them kind of go. So this wasn't a rescue mission. We were only able to save Nikki and Shaw, which is cool, but it's just like, I don't know, man. I would, if I'm Luke, I'm going to be mad, because it's like, you made me come all the way down here for nothing. Didn't like that. But anyway, Julia's getting ready to say her goodbyes, and it's also alluded to, or I'm pretty sure it's confirmed by now, that Julia is the daughter of the guy that's behind the phone, the guy in the chair, the guy that calls the shots, that they're all kind of worried about. Yeah, whatever. Very predictable. This whole show is very predictable in a lot of cases. Doesn't do anything really shocking or tries to do something different or anything. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is at this point. So then we get outside of the Institute as it's coming down. You know, it seems like Julia got caught in the rubble, but at the end of the episode, we see that she actually survived and she's, you know, out there somewhere. But anyways, we see Luke literally like lifting up this building, and then we see a glimpse of like Avery still alive, and I'm curious to see if what this show does end up getting a second season. Maybe the reason why Luke lifted the building up is so those kids could all escape, him and Avery, and they just can regroup later. But it didn't seem like that. Then it was kind of weird, but it was a cool little flex for Luke to do, you know what I'm saying? And just to show the power, and even Tim sees this and other guards and stuff like that. So we'll have to see where that goes. I doubt that we will. Like I said, I don't think that this will get a second season. So the episode ends pretty much with Tim and Luke kind of reuniting, with everybody meeting the whole gang here, and Luke leaving it up to Tim to figure out what happens next. And like I said, we see at the very end that Julia did survive. So, and she has this like thumb drive, so maybe she's going to try to save her own ass, just in case things kind of fall back on her. I don't know. Overall, this show had potential at the beginning. It just kind of really fell the fuck off and just ended up just being very generic and mid towards the end. I still like Luke's character. It's just the suspending the disbelief and certain character choices just doesn't make sense to me. And maybe the book is different, and maybe I gotta check out the book and see how it differs, but I don't see me tuning into a season 2 for this, just because 90% of the characters are all like kind of just one-dimensional and just very hollow, and 2, it's just the inconsistencies with character choices, and even just character deaths are just hilarious in this. Like, you're telling me that'll even make it worse if Avery does end up kind of surviving that, you know, just the fact that he launches up a fucking building and then drops it on them again. It's just weird. So it still doesn't really make sense, because it's like you have this finale and the only person that actually dies in Stackhouse is really lame. Let me know how you guys feel about this episode, and how y'all feel about the season as a whole. Do you feel like that this season is strong enough for a second season? Do you want to see a second season? Are you good? Let me know all your thoughts. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.